I get asked a lot to make videos about certain aspects of design. How do I come up with ideas, layouts, logos, brand concepts? Now, I do my best here on this channel to answer those questions and give as much advice as I possibly can, but there are times when I just really can't. I feel like there's an overarching theme that just makes it difficult to answer those kinds of questions. And unfortunately, it's a skill I think that most designers are lacking. There are lots of great designers here on YouTube that are teaching stuff such as contrast, hierarchy, repetition, rhythm. All of those things are great and you should know about those things, but I feel like sometimes it's still missing the mark. So what's missing? What's that one thing that's going to take you from a good designer to a great designer? To me, it's intuition. That's why sometimes I find it hard to answer questions like, how do you come up with layouts? I don't know. I just do. I feel it out until I find something that clicks, an idea that pops into my head, and I follow it. But that's not really actionable advice that I could teach to someone or put into a video. It's abstract and it's different for every single person. Intuition isn't something that you can teach or see. It's something that you build over time as you find inspiration out in the world or other designs. As you make designs, critique yourself, you build your intuition. It's a small, tiny voice that speaks to you that you have to learn to listen to. It won't have a logic or a reason to it, but that's what makes it hard for designers to learn this skill. Most designers fall into this category of trying to overanalyze and be extremely strategic with everything they do. And to a degree, that's a good thing. Our clients have expectations and we need to meet them. But at the end of the day, if it looks cool, it looks cool. I don't always need to come up with a logical reason why I do something because I'm doing it, because I think it's good. I've studied and analyzed so many great artists and designers. I've curated my design taste and I've spent a ton of time making as much work as I possibly can and trying to learn everything that I possibly can from it. And when you do that over years and years and you're really intentional about your creativity, you can start to develop that intuition. Instead of trying to justify something logically, instead you just go, that looks interesting, I'm gonna do that. I think the greatest example of intuition in design is David Carson. His book, Second Sight, is pretty much dedicated to just that concept, intuition. Hopefully David Carson is a familiar name to you, but if not, he's one of the greatest designers of all time. And no, that's not just an opinion, that's a fact. He pioneered an entire style of graphic design, his skill is unmatched, and he's still a great and creative mind. His work often breaks multiple, if not every single rule in design. Legible typography, using more than 2 fonts in a design, breaking letters apart, yet he's still a beloved and celebrated designer. Now, I'm sure there are times when he makes conscious decisions about the things that he does, but for the most part, I think it's just intuition. It allows him to work beyond structures and traditions that might hinder him from doing what he feels is right. He's not checking his grids to make sure that everything's aligned properly. He's not really concerned if people will be able to read or not read his type. He doesn't mind making the viewer turn the page upside down in order to read something. He's developed his intuition to such a high degree that that's basically what he gets paid for. Whenever somebody approaches him with a project, it's because they want him to do what he already does. And for him, that's design with his intuition. This is why I hate watching most of the educational graphic designers here on YouTube. They rehash the same 10 principles that everybody's already talking about and has already made 20 videos on. It's like they're all reading from the same script, just in a different voice. And it's not necessarily bad advice, but it's mind-numbingly basic. They treat design like math. If you memorize the formulas, then all you have to do is plug in the variables and you're done. But what happens when everybody uses the same formula? Everybody gets the same answer and everything looks the same. There's no creativity behind it. Just memorize the principles and you'll be good. And that's why your work is boring. To me, the more you nurture your intuition, the more you're building an understanding of design principles. It's almost like having a third eye. You don't have to think about what makes sense for the hierarchy for design. You feel it. Yet it allows you to go further and find ways to break rules and make great designs, despite doing it the wrong way. Let's think about it through the lens of a visual identity. Let's say we're working on a brand that is all about being eco-friendly. If we use color psychology, the correct color for the brand is going to be or include green, brown, and blue. Logically, this makes sense. You know, it feels earthy and makes us think about nature, but it also makes sense for every other eco-friendly brand. So now, you have to put on your thinking cap and come up with something new. Venture beyond the calculated way we're taught to be in design. So the best advice I can give you, and the only person that you're going to hear this from on YouTube, is to nurture and build your intuition. That's the thing that's going to take you from a good designer to a great one. The kind of designer that makes designs that go beyond the average. If you want to be more than average, you'll have to learn how and when to break the rules so that your designs can be better. Because sometimes the designs that do the best aren't the ones that follow rules, principles, and traditions to a T. Sometimes you just gotta trust your gut and go with what your intuition is telling you. I wish I could give you more concrete advice that isn't so abstract. It would be much easier for me if I could just list off 10 tips for you and call it a day. But ultimately, I feel like those design tips don't really help in the long run. So my advice is make tons of work, dissect it, soak in work that inspires you, and develop your taste in design. If you start doing those things, you'll begin to develop your intuition. That little small tiny voice that tells you what to do with a design. You won't be able to apply logic to it, but deep down, you'll know it's the right decision. So if you can listen to that small tiny voice and you can amplify it, then you'll be leagues ahead of any designer who needs guides or rules in order to design for them. I'll leave you with a quote from Henri Poincaré, a mathematician, theoretical physicist, engineer, and philosopher of science. Logic, which alone can give certainty, is the instrument of demonstration. Intuition is the instrument of invention.